Welcome, everyone, to another edition of the Cryptid Consortium. Hope we're all doing well tonight. We got my brothers with me, Nick Valente and Gary Spikes Jr. Gentlemen, how are you?
Doing great on this August 6th, 2024.
Yep.
Doing good. Sweating my butt off. It's hot out here.
Oh, I bet. It's just crazy. I don't think I could deal with it.
I hear it reached 103 there, Gary. Is that true?
It's 103 right now. It's been yesterday it was 107. Tomorrow's supposed to be 104. It's ridiculous. And it's like it is out there where you're at, Nick. It's a humid heat. Right now we're at like 88% humidity.
Yeah. That's not too bad over here, though. Not too bad.
Well, y'all should be getting some storms pretty quick.
We've been getting rain every day, but just for like a half hour to an hour.
Yeah, but
what's happening is the tornado in Florida and the hurricane coming up from the Gulf. It's pushing the storm front, and we're just getting the outskirts of it. Nothing hits us here, really.
Yeah. I was going to say that Florida, that tropical storm Debbie or something like that.
Yep.
Yeah. Pushing it up there. They thought it was going to hit Houston, but it curved on over and hit Florida. It rips. I guess there's some people dying because of it.
So, Jay, what are we doing today?
We are covering the Lizard Man.
All right. So, today we're going to be doing the Lizard Man. Size-wise, he was about 7 feet tall, and they sighted him first time in 1988. And that was in Bishopville, South Carolina, and specifically near the Skateboard Swamp. And there's a logo we threw up there for you to peruse. Well, I give you a little background on this guy. Like I said, the Lizard Man, they describe him as 7 feet tall, scaly, green skin. He walks bipedal. So, I mean, it's no sliming on the ground there or anything. He had glowing red eyes. He's got a fetish. He likes to take long walks on the beach, and his hobby is clawing up cars in South Carolina. So for all you people out there that are looking for a partner, that's your man. He was first reported being seen in April of 1988. And yeah, and that's in
that rendition, because we're going to get more into that later. Go ahead.
Right. The Skateboard Swamp is where he was at, and that's about 100 square miles of wetland. And I passed by that area.
Habitat.
What's that?
Perfect habitat.
Yeah, perfect for him. I mean, I passed by there about 7 years ago, and I'm going to tell you, talk about wetland and mugginess. It's super muggy. I didn't go into the swamp. I was on the road out there, and it's nasty. I guess it's excellent for lizards.
Well, any swamp would be, but that one's especially because of the high sulfur content.
Yeah. Throughout the 1980s, there was a rumor of a scaly creature roaming the swamp wetlands, and it went around the small town of Bishopville, South Carolina, which just happens to be located right on the edge of the Skateboard Swamp. Now, in July of 1988, Tom and Mary Wayne, who lived right near Skateboard, they discovered in the morning time that their 1985 Ford LTD, which they did keep in a carport, it had been scratched and dented up really bad. I mean, and the wires were ripped out from the engine, the molding torn off the car, and it looked more like it had been chewed by an animal than vandalized by a person. I mean, they were checking out the damage, and it looked really serious. Well, the Waynes, they called the police, who responded to their home, and the locals placed the blame on various creatures that could have done the damage, from foxes to bears. But someone from around the crowd of people who had gathered, and I guess it's a small town, and I saw a couple of police cars out there. They were all gathering around looking at the damage and stuff. Someone mentioned well, what about the lizard man? And this is the
Hmm.
funny part now. He was intrigued by the comment, and that's Sheriff Liston Truesdale of the Lees County Sheriff's Office. See, Gary, you're right. That was Lees County.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it seemed like he was more interested in investigating this creature than a plain old foxes and bears. He sent out a call for more information and was immediately inundated with calls from people who had witnessed the lizard man over the years. I mean, this guy received well over 100 calls in 3 days. At least that's what the newspaper report said that I was able to look up. Then 2 days later, a 17-year-old boy named Christopher Davis came to the police station. The story David told the sheriff not only gave form to the creature of Skateboard Swamp, but turned into an overnight sensation. I mean, you can imagine. I mean, it's a little town. It's back in the 80s, and rumor just spread like wildfire throughout the whole town. And once the newspapers got word of the story, I mean, this thing just went. It actually went global.
Yeah.
There are actually reports of this outside of the United States. Seems that a month earlier, Davis was driving home from a 2:30 a.m. Late shift at the McDonald's. Now, I don't know what this has to do with it. Maybe the smell, the scent, who knows? But he was driving home with a bag full of Filet-O-Fish sandwiches on the passenger seat. After crossing the Skateboard Swamp Bridge on Browntown Road, he felt the tire thumping. Davis pulled over, discovered that he indeed had a flat tire. I mean, that's just what you want in the dark, right near the swamp, and it's 2:30 in the morning. So he took out the spare tire and jack and, replaced the tire, after which he started putting everything back in the car trunk. Well, he didn't get halfway through putting the stuff back in the trunk when he noticed something odd out in the field there. And what it was a butterbean field off onto his left-hand side, which is the driver's side that he was on. And he was picking the tire equipment up and throwing it in the trunk. As he reported later to a local newspaper, Davis saw a creature green in color, wet skin, and about 7 feet tall. He says it had 3 fingers on each hand, red eyes, and a snake-like scales on the skin, and it was walking towards him. There's our little buddy there. Does he have 3 fingers? Yeah, 3 fingers. Look at that. Yeah. So he's terrified, this kid, right? So he doesn't even load the rest of the equipment back into the car. He only jumps into the car, and he sees the creature running at him. And the creature came right up to his window. He jumped on the roof, and he could see the 3-clawed fingers, reaching down on the windshield. Davis floors the accelerator, knocking the creature off the car. He got to about 35 miles an hour, and he looks to his right, and he sees the creature running alongside the car. And then the creature goes and jumps on the roof. He speeds up again, swerves like crazy because, I mean, he's in a panic at this point. And he finally knocks the creature from the roof, at which time he speeds up to about 65. He arrives home and immediately tells his parents about what happened. After he told the sheriff, the story gets out and spreads around to, every major news outlet across the country. And it causes lizard man fever. I mean, as you can imagine, a little town, South Carolina. I mean, it's a vacation town if you go to the beach over there. And this is further in, central South Carolina. So you have this place getting inundated with tons of tourists, news reporters, and monster hunters. They're all descend on this tiny little town. local businesses started selling Lizard Man T-shirts and other merchandise. Davis, the 17-year-old kid, he's pretty business savvy because he goes and gets himself a business manager, and he starts doing paid appearances. A radio station goes and offers $1 million reward for the creature, causing monster hunters from all over the country, to come and descend on the town. And they said $1 million to capture or kill the skateboard monster. So, I mean, that's something to think about, Gary. We gotta check the newspapers out throughout the country here, see what else
Yeah.
you got out there. I know this is back in '88, but you never know.
We're fixing to when you get wound down, we're going to go down that path.
Oh yeah,
I got a bunch.
Well, meanwhile, while all this hubbub is going on, more cars have been chewed up, and more witnesses come forward. Lots of people reported seeing a large form crossing skateboard swamp. And interesting enough, other than Davis's account, the reptilians aspect of the creature, the description of the creature was not reported by a lot of the other witnesses, causing the cryptozoology community to wonder if the creature was just another regular old Bigfoot.
Remember that reptilian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Davis's description elevated the creature to something new, more terrifying, something more interesting, than your normal everyday Bigfoot.
Yeah.
And
attacking the cars like it did, the damage. And what was funny is the damage on the cars, even I have to mention that the Monster Quest did an episode on it, and they tried to say that it could have been dogs. But when you looked at the marks on the front of the car and stuff, and then coming down the side of that ain't no dog is on to do that. Part of those marks would look like claws.
Yeah. They had some pictures of some of the cars. Now, I used an app that I have that I can go into the archives of newspapers, and I got into the archives there. And there was newspapers out of Missouri even the story of the cars. And, a dog is going to have tight claw marks. This thing had it wide.
Right.
And surprisingly, it was only three claw marks going across all these cars. So, I looked into the archives. I looked at some of the pictures, read the stories and everything. And basically, it was all the same. I mean, I'm not saying it's real,
Let me throw something else at you.
Yeah.
The earliest depictions of demons, demonics, even in the Bible and descriptions, even demonic tracks, handprints are always three-toed and three claws.
Three-toed, yeah.
You even go back into the Bible, into Satan, the serpent, snake can change forms. This thing goes way back there. We're going to take this thing all the way back to the Sumerians here in a little bit, but it's a very common. But I love how you put that, Nick, about this in Bishopville gave it a fresh start, and because we're going to talk about other areas that's been around for a long time, but this gave it kind of I like I said, the aggressiveness, but I was thinking too, it kind of gave it a respawning, it kind of brought it forward into everybody's attention.
Gave it a different slant to what was going on.
Yeah. But for some reason, people are not making the crossover from this to what you just said earlier is the reptilians.
I'll tell you, at the time, the cryptozoology community went to the newspapers, and they were really doubters about it. Big time doubters. They were throwing at the newspapers saying, hey, the reports of these other witnesses, I mean, 5 that I was able to find, but I know there was a lot more according to the police report. I believe there was 25 reports reported of vandalism of cars.
Yep.
Wow. That wasn't just in one section. That was all over the place. And it even spread to one of the other towns that's near Bishopsville.
Well, and
But,
another thing too, I've seen videos of alligators attacking cars, but they're not going to get up on the hood, and they're not going to get up along the top of the. You could even see it looked like along the top of the driver's side, top of the glass and the top of the door. No dog or alligator is going to do that. I can understand ripping a bumper off, flattening a tire or something.
yeah,
But whatever was doing that was substantially tall. That's where they thought where you said the Sasquatch, maybe.
yeah,
But didn't you say they got a good look at it?
yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of the people said they got a good look at it. And the thing is, description wise, the features, they kind of are the same as the 17-year-old guys, but not many of them mentioned the green scaly skin. I don't know whether that was because it was at nighttime and they couldn't see it. It was dark, but nobody mentioned that.
Yeah.
But anyway, some of the locals doubted the story immediately because they knew of a butterbean farmer named Lucius Elmore. Now, guys, you got to look this guy up. Elmore claimed he charged right through the field. And by the way, Lucius Elmore is about I think guy's about 6'4". He's a big guy. He's a butterbean farmer, and he went to chase a thief away from his field on the same night that 17-year-old Davis had his flat tire. Elmore had just installed expensive air conditioning in the shed where he dried his butter beans. Evidently, butter beans are a big deal in South Carolina. And evidently, stealing air conditioning units is another thing back then. Anyway, he was afraid the units might be stolen. So Elmore, what he did was he slept in the shed with a burlap blanket wrapped around himself. When he heard a car pull off the road near the shed, I got his height from a newspaper report. When he heard the car pull off on the road, which is close to where his shed was, the 6'5" tall butterbean farmer, wrapped in a burlap blanket and eyeglasses. He had eyeglasses, shining. He went out of his shed to chase away any would-be thieves. The car sped away immediately, he says. So, I mean, there's another slant to the story, but to be honest with you, the business people tried to push away that kind of thought from anybody because they were doing a world of business at the time. The hotels, and this is mentioned in one of the newspaper articles, the hotels were filled on a daily basis. You couldn't get any place. People were renting rooms out from their homes. They were putting signs up, and newspaper reporters were renting those rooms because they were all over the place. Other people that were renting rooms, not only in hotels, but at people's homes. I mean, they would actually go up and ask them if they would rent them a room, or the hunters. I mean, come on. The radio station offered $1 million. And, if anybody killed or captured this thing alive, they'd have to pay up. They put it over the air.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big lawsuit in the making if you're not going to pay up after these people went out and, grabbed the lizard
produce
man.
something. Yeah.
But I mean, something. Gary, is there another picture there? I think.
Yep. I got you ready right here. I was actually going to save that for the.
Yeah. This one coming up is, from what I
we're going to
found.
leave it. We're going to refer back to this as time goes here.
Yeah. But this picture coming up, folks, is more to the description that many of the people gave it, except for the color. I mean, most of the times, I guess people saw it in the nighttime and they couldn't tell that it was, green. This young man said it was green. Maybe his headlights were shining towards it or whatever. I don't know, but it was old Elmore there. I mean, the guy was 6'5" and with a burlap, blanket wrapped around him and everything. I mean, I guess it's pretty close to being 7 feet tall.
Technical difficulties.
Yeah, we have
some reason it's not letting me share
it. We need to do anything?
Let me try something here. Let me try.
Let's see.
Just a second. I think I've whooped it.
More.
Select the window of an.
Okay, well, he's working on getting that. Did you find anything that I didn't mention on it?
No, I was pretty much found the same stuff you did.
That's weird.
I mean, what strikes me is when we do this show on a weekly or biweekly basis, um, I go into the newspapers around the towns, and they actually have reports of these creatures, that we're reporting on. And this lizard man, evidently, he was a big deal. Now, I would have thought that Florida would have reports of a lizard man, and I didn't really. I got some mention of lizard man over there, but it was mostly the skunk apes and some dog man reports, Sasquatch reports, but no lizard man down in Florida. I guess he felt it was too crowded.
That is weird. Maybe I've got too many windows opened up.
Well, close one or two and see if you can.
The only difference you're talking about the color of green.
Yeah.
When Stacy and I saw that one in North Carolina.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, there he is.
Yeah, see, it wasn't that color; it was gray.
Well, this guy has 5 fingers.
There is some different renditions, even when we'll get into it in just a second, of different. How would you say? I wouldn't say renditions, but descriptions.
Descriptions, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, this is a made up.
Yeah.
Picture of him, and if I made it up, I would have like a green tongue and maybe a fork in it or something. But
yeah.
But you guys get the idea. It's lizard man.
All right, y'all ready?
Yeah.
With me being a Buddhist, learning a lot about the history of Buddhists, one of the first things that popped in my head is, in the Buddhist teachings, we have a husband and wife demigod of the serpents by the name of Sashninga and Shashina. And they are portrayed as having serpent-like heads with lizard or human-like bodies with scales. So that got me digging even more. So I started running through I'm going to start way back in the origins and come all the way forward. That's just the Hindu side of things. Then let's go to, see, I closed out all of my stuff and now I'm having to reopen it. Here we go, folks. Aztecs, all prehistory. Quetzalcoatl. I'm sure everybody's heard of that. Egyptian Nebuchadnezzar, which is funny because King Nebuchadnezzar said to be a descendant of this demigod, which was a primordial snake god in ancient Egypt mythology, also originally considered an evil spirit. His later functions as a funerary god associated with the afterlife. And if you think about, you see some of the depictions of, like, Ra has each different god has the different heads. This guy's got the color. Okay, then you go farther forward. Cora is the serpent goddess of the Celts. Cora was a new discovery for the doctor that found it when he visited Western Ireland. She is alternately described as a dragon, a demon, a devil mother, but here we go. Human-like body with scales and a snake-like head and tail. Then you've got Greek. Glycon was an ancient snake god. He had a large and influential cult within the Roman Empire in the 2nd century with contemporary satirists. And you've, matter of fact, Nick, there is a couple of military units named after this one. And once again, snake-like head and facial features with scales and human-like body. Then we come on down to the Viking god. So we'll start in the East, and everybody knows about the Japanese dragons and the demons. We talked about the Bible earlier. The definite, if I can pronounce this right, is the Midgard serpent, also the world serpent, but his name is Genorbuk. My wife needs to do that. So we'll come forward into the main one I want to get into was the Quetzalcoatl, because he's South American. The Paiute Indians had a snake god. Navajo talk about snake gods. So let's run forward to the most famous. Everybody talks about the lizard man, but they don't put it with one of the most famous alien reptilians,
Yes.
the Dulce base. I can't think of the guy's name that went down. He worked at Area 51 and went down when they fought, the special forces fought, and he lost his finger. He described as just like this picture.
Mm-hmm.
7 feet tall, scales, says they feed off of humans and they're torturing us. I'm not going to get, I could stay here for hours and talk about this. Is one of my favorite ones. Alien abductions in the 50s and 60s. A lot of them talk about reptilians, also called Acrons, reptiloids, Saurons, Draconians, or lizard people, are supposed reptilian humans may play a prominent role in fantasy science. What goes into that? But let's go into alien abduction right here. Narrative sometimes allege contact with reptilian creatures. One of the earliest reports was that of Ashland, Nebraska police officer Herbert Schreimer, who under hypnosis recalled being taken aboard a UFO in 1967 by humanoid beings with a slightly reptilian appearance who wore a winged serpent emblem on the left side of their chest. Skeptics consider it to be a hoax. You've got David Icke, another that got how would we say, abducted. There's so many stories we could sit here and run through all day long about the reptilians. Myself, what we've discussed in the first part of this show, right there. This is one of the most documented. We could do a show itself on the reptilian, and if y'all want to, we can do that. And I can bring up a whole bunch of. I've actually got friends that are eyewitnesses to the Dulce base. I've been to Dulce base myself and seen some of the crazy stuff that goes on there. But I've got a friend that would come on and talk about where she's seen two reptilians walk out of a rock wall, walk around a little bit, and then turn around and walk back in.
Wow.
There's even ties in of reptilians at Skinwalker Ranch.
Yes, there has been.
So I'm glad that Nick brought that in when he said reptilian. Nobody, I didn't, on any of the research that anybody else was talking about the lizard man of the swamp down there. Even Louisiana talks about a lizard man, the crocodile man, the lizard man. Florida, South Florida talks about it. But they don't classify it with reptilians. I don't understand why.
Yeah.
Should.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. The only thing different with the reptilians that's different than what you described is most reptilians are said to have 5 fingers, but some of them have 3. Even demons, talk about the ancient gods. And this is where I was talking about going all the way back to Samaria, and even farther back. Most of your modern religions that we came through can trace their roots to the Sumerian religion. Nick, Jeremiah, me and you was involved in a situation a few years back where transportal being, and they got a picture of it, and they said it was a dog man, and me and you pulled it up, and as soon as I seen it, what was that? Sumerian demon.
Sumerian demon. Yep.
A 3-fingered, I'm honestly believe that this South, how would we say, this southern fried chicken would be the best way of putting it, but the southern tales of these lizard man is just a different rendition, just like you have with a swamp ape or the swamp, dang it, can't even talk, skunk ape, compared to the northwestern Bigfoot and
exactly.
This is just another name and another description for the reptilian. I really think they're the same being, whether they're alien or multidimensional or however you want to put it, because Jeremiah, even the thing that you've seen, and that's what I wanted to get into. I wish we had that video. The thing that you've seen, that acted similar to a physical creature. It had a hog and everything else. But in that video, you see it kind of fading in and out. It's almost like going into a cloak type situation.
It is on back and forth, and it moves wicked fast too, with that boar in its arms. It's unbelievable, and it's got the 3 long fingers. Yeah. The only difference between that and what we're seeing here is the one we saw was gray.
Well, and lighting could cause that. I mean,
like you just said, yeah.
Well, look at alligators. You've got some alligators that are more gray. You've got and some of the things.
You do have some gray alligators out there.
Yeah, and even the
Yeah.
algae in the water, if they've just come out of the water or they got algae bacteria on their body, that make them more green. Matter of fact, most
Yeah.
crocodiles are more gray colored in alligators than they are green, except for like the emerald. They've got one down in South America called the emerald crocodile, which is real green. Then you got yellow crocs, you got black crocs, but
Yeah.
they, just like with Sasquatch, you have genetic variances across the species. We all don't look at the three of us. We don't look the same. Y'all
No.
definitely ain't as sexy as I am, but I really agree with Nick on this thing that we could really go down a series with this with the reptilians because they're classified as
Yeah.
cryptid too, and get into the science behind it. I mean, there's been a lot of a lot of books written about them, and this is one of the most creditable, especially the Lee County one, because a lot of people seen it. It wasn't just one or two people in a short period of time. You know, those
Oh, yeah.
attacks. It was spread out even into Missouri, and I don't know why they attack cars. You know, why would
Yeah.
It's got a fetish for cars. It's so weird.
uh, you've even hear stories of them running up beside people on cars driving down the road and taking a swipe at the car. Um, Maybe it's a metal thing or
That's what I was thinking.
metal. I don't know.
Yeah.
Shiny object syndrome.
Now you've got me curious. I'm going to do some more research. We might revisit this because we might can find some behavioral patterns from the reptilian side of it on the metal.
Yeah.
So we may live underground.
I don't mind taking a revisit on this.
I mean, we could really jump into a seriousness with Dulce and, you know, all the underground. What is that guy's name that worked at, Nick, you ought to know it, worked at Area 51 that, Bob, just say it.
Oh, the guy that came out with it?
Bob Lazar?
Bob, yes.
That's
Bob.
it, Lazar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like Lazar.
Yeah, yeah. He literally, you know, in one of his testimonies and that he did, and you know, people, you know, he ended up crazy things happened with his death and everything else, but he took polygraphs and passed them, and he literally had his finger missing. Where, you know, he very well could have. And if what he says is true, this is where I'm getting at. If what he says is true, and these things are really that entwined with our government and our feeding off of us and stuff, man, this gonna be we might be reliving that TV show V before too long.
Yeah, I remember
that old show.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe
they eat the rat.
Yeah, maybe the ones that like in South Carolina are not as maybe they're feral compared to the ones in Dulce, or maybe they're you know, even don't know. Maybe a half breed or something, because you know we've discussed it in the Dogman world about scientific what's the word I'm looking for? Sorry, I'm tongue tied tonight. Testing on them to create them, genetic splicing and stuff like that. I mean, there's some people said that some dogmen are government experiments.
That's what they like to say. Government.
I don't know. I don't know about that, but if it is, but that's all I got, guys. I just thought it was cool. We didn't go all the way with the serpents. You know, this is one of the oldest cryptids out there. I mean, and Nick, you're the first one I've heard that put that crossover with that I had already done a little bit of research on, but put the crossover of the reptilian. Everybody talks about the lizard man and the reptilian were the same damn thing.
Yeah.
Same thing, that's all.
Yeah.
So I guess that's about all we got, guys.
Yeah, all we got for tonight.
Every now and then there's another sighting. I think the last sighting was 2014. That was right near the Scape Ore Swamp. That was back in 2014. I think 3 people actually reported it, and the newspaper actually put it in there. But it didn't spark another, hunt or anything like that.
Right.
It just said something like "Lizard Man Revisited." Maybe he's coming out of hibernation.
Right.
Well, yeah, right here, 30 years later, June 15th of 2018, sightings of lizard man following often in the destruction of at Lee County. So I guess what I'm saying is they're just calling him the lizard man there, and
Yeah.
everywhere else they're talking reptilian.
Reptilian. Yeah.
Same
I
thing,
mean,
as far as I'm concerned, same thing.
Same here. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, I guess that's all she wrote on that until we can find some more stuff.
Yeah.
That was well over 2.5 weeks of research, and there wasn't too much more. I mean, I was really searching Florida for a lizard man, but there was nothing.
well, and then once again, you know, that it's kind of that lizard man seems to be like we was talking about, seems to be that they call him that there in South Carolina, because you get down around Shreveport and stuff, the Creoles call him Croc Man. And then in Florida, they call him something else, and Dulce they call him
Croc
reptilians.
Man.
So we might, you know, we might need to revisit it and maybe do the reptilian side of it. The biggest thing that's got me is this seems to be more feral than I mean, you don't get no more feral than consuming human flesh, but you know, of the reptilians. But
Yeah, I mean, there was mention of reptilians back in the 40s and 50s with the Men in Black.
yeah, absolutely.
They said that the Men in Black were reptilians, but that meant that they were aliens of some sort. You know, they were from outer space.
Yeah.
So.
But you can if we do a show on the reptilians of Dulce, I mean, we can do a easily stay busy for an hour and a half, 2 hours on it. But they have sightings of the reptilians in Dulce all the way back in the 40s and 50s, even prior to World War II, prior to the Area 51 and the I can't even think where the alien ship fell. Man, I don't do the alien thing. We need to get Dave Scott on here for that. I can't even think what town in Gallup, around Gallup, New Mexico, where they in the 40s or in the 50s were the
Roswell.
Roswell. Thank you. That's south of Gallup. Yeah. But they talk about Dulce, even the Navajo and the Dulce Indians talk about reptilians all the way back. I mean, in the caves and coming out of the caves, and I mean they're almost as old as the giants, the red-headed giants from that area.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So we might do a show on that in the future. That'd be a fun one.
I agree.
Fun one to do.
All right.
Well, everyone, thanks for joining us tonight. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll be back next week. Another cryptid to cover. Everyone, God bless. Be good to each other, and Gary, Nick, I'll see you later, gentlemen. Have a good night.
Take care now.